You reduce the energy demand to a level where a typical UK living room of 15 to 18 square meters, you can heat in the middle of winter with 5 candles. My name is Tom Gartner. I'm an architect and a Passivhaus designer. I'm also director of SE3D. We are a team of Southwest designers, project managers, project consultants. Our focus in our work that holds us all together is that we specialize in sustainable design, in low energy design and healthy building design. Our projects range in our practice from mainly commercial projects. We do housing projects, residential projects, apartment buildings, offices, schools, but also the new leisure centre for Exeter City Council is also one of the projects that we're involved with at the moment. So it's a wide range of projects. Back in 2008, when we were talking to developers and telling them, right, you have to reduce carbon emissions because of climate change. Everyone was aware of climate change, but nobody was taking that serious. That was not something that was on the agenda. If we came into an office and were talking to people about, right, you need that much of insulation, you need triple glazing in there, you have to look at your ventilation, heat losses and these kind of things, and you have to bring your carbon emissions right down, they were all thinking we're completely bonkers. Nowadays, no project in the UK would be developed without these aspects. The way that the Passivhaus system works, it's not a woolly jumper approach, which is quite a lot of sustainable design, especially when you look back 15 years ago in the UK. It was very much about, right, we want to reduce our carbon emissions and our energy demand by putting lots of insulation in our buildings. Ideally use renewable products like sheep wool and wood fibre and these kind of things. Use some decent windows, some solar orientation, and then have some passive ventilation in there. Design everything out. But the focus was always on insulation levels. And if it doesn't work, there's often an approach then that, right, if it gets cold, fair enough, you put in another jumper or something like that and you cope with it. Passivhaus is different. With Passivhaus, you start with comfort. You start with high levels of comfort so that you have, you don't need a heating system to create that level of comfort. So that makes it a passive rather than an active system. You have decent levels of insulation to keep your building warm. You have high performance windows and doors. This is typically triple glazing. You have better air tightness, so you reduce the air infiltration from the outside, especially on these cold winter days, November days and so on, so you're protected from the outside. You essentially create an environment that you're in control of through your building envelope, if you want, in this building. And by doing that, you avoid any cold spots. In a Passivhaus, with the quality of glazing you have in there, even if you have a fully glazed facade patio door, 3 by 5 meters, something like that, just to be excessive. And it's -10 outside. If I take you into that building blindfolded, you would not notice if you stand right in front of the glass or in the middle of the building, because you have even temperatures throughout. At the same time, in a Passivhaus, you have to make sure that you have optimum air quality. You're not restricting ventilation, you're not limiting that. You're not restricting that to buy some more energy savings on that. It's about quality. You have high air quality, you have no condensation because you have no cold spots, you have no mold, you have no impact on air quality and high comfort levels. And once you have achieved that, you then reduce the energy demand by something like 90%. Up to that point in 2008, there was not a single Passivhaus in the UK. The first came 2009, 2010. And that's why we developed a 21-unit scheme together with Emma Osmondson of Exeter City Council. And from then on, we have developed more than 500 Passivhaus dwellings, offices, leisure centre, these kind of buildings down here in the southwest. And the majority of them actually with Exeter. Another big benefit of the Passivhaus is also, when it comes to health, the ventilation and the air quality. It's not just that you have fresh air supply, you also have a filter for that fresh air. And this is also something that, of course, has become much more important nowadays, and there's much more of public awareness how air quality affects us and our children, and not just air quality from what we have in our buildings, but more importantly from traffic, pollution, carbon monoxide emissions from diesel cars and so on, and how these particulates, these microparticulates, affect us and our health in the long term, and especially our children. And with passive houses, this controlled ventilation and the ability to filter air, especially in high traffic locations, for example, they can reduce these NOx emissions by up to 75% and then contribute to a much healthier environment actually that you can get from outside air. An approach to sustainable design that is about balancing the impacts on the environment as well as the or our impacts on the environment, as well as our built environment's impact on us and our health. Carpets are a very good example because carpets, traditional carpets, are made up of several layers, 5, 6, typically petrochemical layers. They're all glued together and off-gas all sorts of materials. They also typically use plasticizers and softeners within these plastic levels, and these particles then end up in our kidney, and our body has no function of getting rid of heavy metals, and that's why heavy metals like lead, but also others, are so critical for our developments and of course for our health. Don't become an architect.